Hi, I'm Amelia Lee, the Undercover architect, and today I'm doing my blog as a video because I really wanted to make sure that I could share my thoughts on this as authentically as possible and in a way that was really could not be misunderstood as easily as sometimes the written word is. For those of you who know my background, you'll know that I worked at Mirvac for some time. I was there for about 7 years, and Mirvac at the time was Australia's leading and largest development company. And I worked as part of their design team in Mirvac Design. And at the time that I was there, Mirvac Design, which was Mirvac's in-house architectural office, had about 100 staff in Brisbane. A lot of my architectural colleagues and friends thought that I'd crossed to the dark side when I'd gone to work for Mirvac, going to work inside a developer. But the one thing that I really learnt whilst I was there was how important collaboration is to really get the best outcome for projects. At Mirvac, there was a mantra that the project was king. And so there was an extraordinary amount of rigour that went around the design process of any of the projects, where members from the various different divisions and also from interstate would always be involved in the design process for every project. And so you can imagine there were lots of opposing points of view that were always brought to the table, but with the mantra that the project is king, it meant that everything that was brought to the table was adopted if it was in the best interest of the project. And what I saw was that there was this extraordinary process that happened when that level of collaboration occurred with the right focus on the project. That meant that we always got the best outcomes for the people that bought into Mirvac developments and for the living environments that we created for them. And for me, with Undercover Architect, that mantra of the project is king now translates to the homeowner is king or queen, as may be the case. And this really came to the fore for me recently when I had an interesting experience with one of my UA clients. Now, I had this lovely woman that I worked with on a UA Reno Rescue Package. She has a beautiful home in Sydney that she wanted to renovate and extend. And she'd been working with a draftsperson for 12 months. And, you know, she'd chosen a draftsperson over an architect because she didn't want anything cutting edge or too innovative or complicated. She just wanted something simple. But what she found in the process of working with the draftsperson was that the design input that you need and that you can get up front is what really makes a difference to the overall process and outcome of the project in the end. And so she got to the end of this 12 months process and hadn't really got the results that she wanted. And, you know, I often say that if you're not capable of, you need a design leader, whether you're building or renovating. And if you're not able as the client to be the design leader, then you need to hire an expert who is. So somebody who's trained in design, like an architect or an interior designer or a building designer, a very good building designer, and who can bring that design expertise to the table, because that's the thing that actually sort of expands your vision. And if you don't know what to ask for and you don't know what you need to know, then it's very difficult for you as a client to do that design leadership. So this is what she found with working with the draftsperson. So she had then gone on to find another local consultant who was a building designer, but it had a business for many, many years, had a very strong reputation in the area for doing the kinds of homes and renovating the type of home that hers was, and doing the extensions in the style and aesthetic that she liked. And he was about 2 weeks off starting on her project. And so I just jumped in sort of in between these two, and we worked together on the UA Reno Rescue Package. Now, the UA Reno Rescue Package is where I basically came to her home. We spent 2 hours together. We went through everything that had happened to that date. I have a questionnaire that I take my clients through, which is really good to kind of nut out some things that they haven't necessarily thought about, which have a really strong impact on the kind of life they want to lead in their home. And then I go away and I prepare a tailored report. It's about 15 to 20 pages that has a lot of action items. For her, it had some things to be aware of that in relation to her home and in managing her budget, some particular ideas and concepts. And then I also prepare some 2-scale hand-drawn floor plans. And for her, I did 2 options that show what was possible with renovating and extending her home. And she loved it, absolutely loved it. She was so excited when she received it. One of the options in particular she really loved. I do a video recording that's a screen recording, so I talk the client through sort of all the decisions that I've made whilst I've designed it. She really loved that, and I'll include her testimonial below so that you can see it. But she just thought it was great. And what for her, it was a really important step in consolidating all of her, all of the 12-month process. She knew me, she knew my work. She knew I would get kind of where her family was at as another, she's got 3 kids. As a fellow mum, I would get what her home needed to do for a family. And so, she loved the fact that she had kind of this consolidated point of all of that experience together to then take as part of her brief to the next designer. And she sent it on through to him, and he wasn't so excited about it. In actual fact, he said that he didn't want to continue on the project, didn't think that they were a good fit, and that he didn't want to be part of a panel of consultants, and said he wouldn't be taking on the job. And, my heart broke for her when she told me. And, because I know how excited she was to kind of now move forward. She'd not wanted to waste another 12 months working with a draftsperson. She'd wanted to have a really clear picture before she went to this guy to be able to then hit the ground running, and get to her getting her development application and getting on site quickly. And for her, she was well on her way to doing this, and she was really excited about it. And then for him to do this, and what was interesting for me was that she was really concerned that she had offended she'd insulted and offended his design integrity. And when I first heard, I thought, well, and I'll be honest with you, I thought, geez, should I have got involved? Should I have not done the service? Should I have not helped her? And then I thought, well, how would I have felt as an architect if a client had done that to me? If a client had brought me designs done by somebody else to kind of start me off. And I realised that's happened lots of times. So I've had lots of clients bring me their designs done by themselves or by another designer, or by a family friend, or in the same way that they might have a Pinterest board with 400 photographs on it, or a scrapbook full of magazine cuttings, or an essay written about the kind of home that they want and the life that they want to lead in it. It's all part of building a brief to making sure that the homeowner's needs and desires are fully explained in terms of starting my process of working on their design. And this wasn't a resolved design, it was floor plans. So what the home looked like from the outside still all needed to be resolved. The structure, she was things that she wanted to push and pull. It wasn't a solution, like it wasn't the end of the design process by any stretch of the imagination. There was still lots of work to do. And so I realised that, that has happened. I've had that. I've not been offended by it. It's not worried me. It's all been part of the brief. And, what I did realise was that, and I think it was her reaction that really triggered this for me, was that she had felt she'd done something wrong in speaking to me. And she was made to feel by the other consultant that she'd done something wrong. And that for me I thought, nah, enough. I'm completely fed up. This building design consultant had made it about, he'd forgotten that the homeowner is queen, and that this whole process is about her investment, her time, her money, her family, her life, the lifestyle she gets to lead, her dream, her vision for her home, and he'd made it instead about him. And I know that some of you may disagree with me about this, and I know that some of my design colleagues will disagree with me about this. However, I also know that there are lots of my design colleagues who are behind me, and know that there are designers out there who are far too precious about their design and what they bring to the table, who don't like being collaborative, who don't like sharing their design process with anyone else, and even to the point where they don't like sharing it with the client, and they don't like taking on the client's feedback. And I can see why designers get such a bad name, why homeowners don't really want to work with them, why they just want to work directly with the builder or something like that. Because honestly, if I had to deal with that level of preciousness in getting my vision and my investment created, I wouldn't want to deal with it either. And so for me, I thought it's enough. And I suppose to explain it in a way that might be more how I see it translate is, if you're going to make an investment in renovating or building your home, the money that you choose to invest, you could be doing anything with that money. Whether you're borrowing it or you've saved it, you could be spending it on education, or you could be investing it in the stock market, or you could be going on a holiday. Like, you could be doing anything with it. And the choice that you're making to spend it on your home should be seen as the investment that you're making in the home and in the lifestyle that you want to create by making that investment. So say, for example, your home's worth maybe $700,000, which isn't unusual for a lot of homes in capital cities in Australia. And you're going to, say, spend $300,000 on renovating and extending it. So you've got this $700,000 asset and this $300,000 renovation budget. And how you spend that $300,000 on your asset actually impacts what your asset becomes worth. So you can destroy a $700,000 asset with a $300,000 renovation, believe it or not. The choices you make could completely diminish the value of it. Or you could completely increase and expand the value of your asset with that investment. So what you're putting at stake is actually both those amounts. You're putting the $700,000 asset and the $300,000 renovation budget together, and you're putting that at stake on the lifestyle and returns in your finances and in how you get to live. That's what you're putting on the table. Now, if I handed you $1 million in cash and said, invest this, what would you do? Well, if you're anything like me, you would probably research your little brain out. You would be on the internet. I know I would be on the internet. I would be reading whatever I could. I would be speaking to friends who I knew were good with money. I'd be speaking to financial advisors. I'd go and speak to my bank. I'd get one piece of advice from one financial advisor, and I'd probably speak to another financial advisor and check that bit of advice, and I'd be comparing and asking for second opinions, and I'd be navigating it backwards and forwards until I was confident that I was making the right choice, both for the money, for my level of risk, for the kinds of people I was going to be working with, and for the decisions I was going to be making, that it was going to get the returns that I was happy with. And I don't see why your home should be any different, and I would not expect for any of those financial experts to be offended that I'd ask somebody else for their opinion. The industry of home design and home building is very unusual in the fact that the second opinion process isn't that customary. And look, sometimes you might find a designer, and I've had clients that have been like this, where they've been perfectly, like we've just, you find that designer where you just click, you get each other, you see things similarly, and you know their work and you know their reputation, and you can trust that they're going to help you create the best possible outcome for your home, your budget, and your life. Sometimes, though, you don't get that confidence and clarity. And in my opinion, you should be well within your rights to do everything you possibly need to in getting second opinions and informing yourself and empowering yourself to believe that you're making the right choices. And you shouldn't have to worry about whether you're offending the design sensibilities or integrity of the professionals that you're working with. Interestingly, in terms of this client, she's since found out that some things about this designer that, I often find that when this happens early in the project, it can be a blessing in disguise. And that's pretty much what she's found out with this designer. And I'm now helping her find an alternative designer to work with. She needs that one-to-one management on site that I can't provide remotely. And so, for me, that's when I do my job best, is supporting her in finding that process of how she's going to navigate it forward. And she's still really excited and happy about the process. And you'll see from her testimonial before, she doesn't regret my involvement at all. But I would love to hear your feedback on this, because for me, Undercover Architect has always been about you, the homeowner, and the homeowner being queen in terms of getting the best possible outcome for your project. Once you build it, the choices that you make, they're permanent choices you have to learn to live with, and they're expensive choices to undo. And so, I want you to have everything that you need to be confident and have the clarity and support and guidance you need in creating the best outcome for your project. I'd love to hear your feedback on this. Comment below or send me an email at amelia@undercoverarchitect.com and let me know your thoughts on this. I know that I will have completely frustrated and annoyed some of my design colleagues, and possibly I've frustrated and annoyed some of you. This is far too important for me, though, and I really want to disrupt this industry because I believe that the homeowner deserves better, and I believe that you deserve to do everything that you need to get the best results for your home. This has been Amelia Lee, the Undercover Architect. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you later. Bye.